Got a bad habit of wanting to sit back, man. Want to chill. But I'm here. What's happening? Welcome back to No Cap. Your boy DC. Had to get my tagline together just so when I start the show off, it's gonna be smooth. I don't want to be rapping at folk like I'm trying to start my rap career in the middle of an intellectual conversation or nothing like that. Got to get that line together, man. That bow. So folk know it's live. Had a whole story time and everything set up, man, but just had something rush over me, man. Real, I don't want to say uncomfortable, but an obvious oversight where constantly hear folk complaining about YNs, right? And how these kids out of control. It ain't their fault though. They growing up in the environment that we created. And through previous careers I've had the opportunity to speak to them and have some get me game, because you can get game from a baby. And the words coming out of their mouth was a lot of the things I experienced as a kid too, but exacerbated and to the nth degree, just because the things that were highlighted as important for the last generation are what the next generation take and run with it. And at some point it went from family being at the forefront to your individual happiness being at the forefront. So everything else falls by the wayside, which includes your kids, your relationships, your morals, your manners. All of that falls to the wayside because how you feel personally became like the call and cry of the generation before me. And you never really reap the fruits of the seeds that were sown until 2 generations later. The next generation gets a little bit of it, but the second one is completely disconnected from your decision making. They are the representation of what you stood for and what you put into the earth. And with that being the case, right, for all these kids that get considered wild or get called YNs or get called ignorant or reckless or dangerous to society, just a quick question, man. When the last time anybody walked up, told them, I'm happy you're here? I love you. I appreciate you. The YNs that you see, when the last time you think one of their loved ones gave them a hug and told them that they appreciate them? And that matters. The most thugged out, crazy, drug riddled, sporadic, impulsive, negligent hoodlum you can think of, even to that person, feeling loved, supported, appreciated, and validated matters. So even if they not your family member, pour love into them, folk. Pour love into everybody that you come in contact with, just because you know you need it as an individual. So ain't it obvious that other people require it as well? And especially a generation of people who they haven't even had the concepts explained to them. They just feel empty. They doing things trying to fill these holes. You know what their problem is. So why don't you explain to them what's going on and then help them solve the problem? All you got to do is show love. Simple as that. I appreciate you. Like, wild thing, a hug could go a real long way. But I want to focus on conversations with men, about men, concerning men. Because especially if you're a black man, you've seen enough of these conversations for a minimum of 5 years where everything is your fault, affecting your community. Regardless of any trials and tribulations you've gone through, any obstacles that have been put in your way, any lack of support that you've gotten, none of that matters. It's your fault. So there's no need to go back and forth and try to point fingers or establish blame. Nah. I'm a big proponent of, unless you've done everything within your power, you don't have the opportunity to complain about anything else that's happened. Unless you've given 100%, you'll never know. So, gonna be requesting that black men especially do everything within your power to be the best man that you can be. And then let the chips fall where they may. Because there's a gender war going on, and let's face it, all of you understand that women and accountability are like water and oil. So don't try to mix the two. You hold yourself accountable and do everything in your power to be the best man that you can be. And then from there, it gets real easy. There is no more finger pointing. There is no blame shifting. It's all, I'm doing everything I can and everything I'm able to do. What about you? Hindsight is 2020. Reconcile 50-50. I'm giving my 50%. Where are you at? Simple conversation. But in order to overcome generational curses, and we in the doozy of a concoction of them right now, they all can be null and void in one generation. But it takes a whole lot of work, a whole lot of sacrifice. And you can wash all those issues away in just one generation. It's a bunch of men holding each other accountable, regulating, setting boundaries, setting rules, doling out discipline, expectations, but also being protective and establishing and achieving goals at the same time. But got to be aware of the past and the present before you can take steps toward the future, which is why conversation is toxic masculinity. Because what even is toxic masculinity? If you were to ask social media, which is where a lot of people first heard it, literally anything masculine is toxic. Set a boundary, toxic. Remind somebody of rules, toxic. Consequences, toxic. Setting a goal, working towards that goal, toxic. Man equals toxic. Unfortunately, the world's biggest influence has defined these terms for you. And social media being a gift and a curse, the same way it could speak ill and speak negative, it can speak positive. It all depends on what you acknowledge, what you post, what kind of content you create or you engage with. If you chose to engage in positive content and only post positive content about being masculine and celebrating masculinity, it'll have no choice but to follow suit. But biggest user of social media is women. So as much as you post, there's always going to be an opposing force. And the conversation today basically tells you how to deal with it. You don't have to argue. Don't even have to engage. You have your opinion. I'm going to respect your opinion, but I'm not going to second your opinion. Not going to advertise your opinion. Not going to champion your opinion. I'm going to place you over here with your wrong opinion over there. I'm going to set the boundary of it's good over here. If you can't follow the rules and you don't pass the vibe test, then you can't be over here. Simple as that. You don't even got to do the back and forth. Easy. Being a man and being the best version of a man that you can be is going to solve all these problems for you. Disagreements, failures, mental health. All of these things are solved just by you striving to be the best version of yourself. That's it. Not telling you what goals are set. Not telling you who to interact with, how to interact with them. No, just focus on you. Be the best version of yourself. And as long as you're doing that, it'll become real easy what decisions to make and what decisions to avoid. Got me? And just in case I miss anything, folk willing to comment and give some back at the same time. Let me know if I missed something. Let me know if you agree. Give advice for folk who might not have the lived experience that you have or might not have the wisdom that you have. And each one reach one, each one teach one, however you want to call it. You know a bunch of men. Hold them to the same standard that you hold yourself out of love. Allow them to hold others to the same standard. Rebuild a community that quick. But without further ado, again, this is a conversation of men to men about men. So I'm going to speak as if I'm speaking directly to you from a man to a man. There's only life is simple, and it's so simple it seems complicated. A lot of life is simple. It might not be easy, but it's simple. Just do this. Don't do that. Here's how you handle this. The variables, the factors, the details, the gray area, the context of life seem to make it seem more colorful and more complex than it is, but it's still simple. So I can go into detail on each one of these, but there's really only 5 rules to manhood. There's only 5. So there's not really an age thing. It's not a coming of age conversation. There's not like a birthday that you reach and then now you're a man. No, it's fulfilling each of these 5 things to the best of your ability. That makes you a man. So you can become a man at 13 because we had ancestors that were getting married and having children at super young ages and handling their business from 13. And there are folk alive today in their 60s who still act boyish, childish, immature, who they've aged but not matured. Again, age doesn't make you a man. Makes you a male, but not a man. Rule number 1 to manhood: give respect and demand it always. Simple. Men at our core, we operate from the line in the sand, the proverbial line in the sand. As long as you respectful, anything goes. The second we take anything as disrespect, everything goes out the window. So rule number 1 is just stay on this side of the line. Easy. Women take a lot of things in different ways. Like the context affects them a whole lot more than it affects us. Their emotions affect things more than it affects us, because respect can be emotional or a logical situation, but it's pretty much a black or white thing. Give respect always. Always give respect. And always demand respect. Not ask for it, demand it. As a man, I'm going to show you the respect that you are earned. Whether you be a child, whether you be a woman, whether you be another man, I'm going to give you respect, because that is how men validate. I respect you. I validate you. You respect me, validate me. And get ahead. Like, these 5 rules to manhood are also how to show love as a man. Because love is the only emotion that is defined by action. You don't have to act mad to be mad. You don't have to act upset to be upset. You don't have to act happy to be happy. But to give love is to physically give it and express it. To be in love is to express it. Love is an action as much as it is an emotion. And it's the only emotion that's like that. So these 5 rules to manhood are also ways to love, be a loving individual, and to command love in return. Again, it's simple. Don't mean it easy, but it's simple. Number 2, harbor a safe environment and protect it. There's going to be rules in my vicinity. If you're in my home, or if you're within earshot of where I'm at, if you're in the same environment I'm in, respect is going to be up there. There'll be nobody getting disrespected while I'm around. I give respect, so I expect you to give respect at all times. And it's really that simple. A lot of situations could be nipped in the bud, but men have taken their foot off the gas and have allowed spaces to become more susceptible to disrespect. You've opened up your environment to allow disrespect to flourish. Can't do that. Why? It needs to be known while I'm around, there will be no disrespect. There will only be a safe environment. Safe, protected, comfortable. Remember, women always say they need a provider and a protector. All that is, there will only be positivity in my space. 3, uphold your moral code at all costs. Nothing should sway you from your morals. If you stand for something, there should never be a situation in which you lay down. Again, as black men, there were situations where your ancestors chose death over subservience. There are civil rights leaders who chose death over being hush, being quiet, and not speaking up. There are people who are in unemployment lines not because they're not worth hiring, but because their job's not worth working. For example, if you work in logistics right now, if you drive trucks as an independent contractor, you understand that the market is so saturated with drivers that the routes are just disrespectful with how they're paying. But because other drivers need money so bad, they'll accept the low pay. Companies just lowball everybody. And there's no way to make a living off that. So your morals say, I can't do that. I'm going to find another way. At no point in time should your morals be jeopardized. There's no accommodating when it comes to your morals and what you stand for. Because once you make an exception one time, it no longer becomes a rule. You can make an excuse one time, you can make an excuse forever, and then you don't even have to acknowledge it. Number 4, be teachable. Be a teacher. Until you die, you should be looking to grow. The only way to grow is to learn. The only way to learn is to be teachable. As a man, to be respected, you have to be a teacher. Others have to acknowledge that you have picked up the mantle of being a man and you carry that with you everywhere you go. And naturally, being a man, there are going to be trials, tribulations, obstacles, situations that you have to grow through, suffer through, painfully grow through, that give you wisdom on the other side of it. And again, each one teach one. The next generation should be using you as a stepping stone toward the future. So why would you want them to suffer through what you suffer through when they can learn your lesson through you? It's reciprocal, those relationships with thin generations. Older generation, you pass the wisdom down. And then in return, you can live vicariously through the generation that you taught. Be teachable. Be a teacher. You want to be a good father, you have to be a teacher. You want to be a husband, you have to be a teacher. You want to be a good brother, have to be a teacher. A good uncle, you have to be a teacher. And in every single one of those positions, you have to be teachable because you don't know everything. There's going to be situations that pop up where you're going to have to learn on the fly and figure this shit out. You're going to have to figure this shit out. Because the goal should be to try to be the best version of yourself possible, the best man you can be. Only way you can do that is to learn and be able to take that information and apply it and adapt and evolve. And number 5, never stop setting goals and chasing goals. One of the most masculine traits there is to chase a goal, set a goal, and to conquer that goal. As a child, want to graduate school. As a man, want to make money so I can have a certain quality of life. Let me find a mate. Let me start a family. Let me make sure I have the proper resources for that family to flourish. Let me continue to grow as an individual. Let me acquire more information, more connections, more resources so that I can grow within whatever career path I choose. Let me express my interests. Let me get better at my hobbies. Let me build better relationships. Let me continue to grow. Let me continue to find ways to improve. Let me continue to find opportunities to learn. When you do all of that, there's no way to convince me that somebody who is accomplishing and upholding all 5 of these rules to the best of their ability, that they aren't some of the best men that you'll ever meet. Because manhood is really as simple as that. And eventually going to address the opposite sex, but again, from the perspective of a man, because I can't be anything other than that. I'm going to branch out, reach out, find more connections that can speak from an informed, intelligent perspective of a woman. And then go back and forth, compare notes, compare conversation, and have a collaborative conversation on how to improve individually and each gender, because men need to be shaped, influenced, and impacted by other men, and men also need the input of women. And on the other side, women need a whole lot more women willing to be examples of how a woman is supposed to behave and what a good woman looks like. And women damn sure need men's perspective on what a good woman looks like. Because I always say that with such fervor, because bruh, we're seeing it right now where I'm gonna do what I want. I don't care about nobody's opinion. And all of these people are hungry for validation. So they're looking for somebody's opinion. Right. And starting to make these things shorter too, just so they can become more digestible. And then as more folks start to comment and start to jump into the live and react live, I can extend it from there. Wanted to do something funny, not really for entertainment value, but I was watching the show and then Sesame Street popped up, and had me rolling. I forgot what show it was. God forgive me. That your brain before the gym and your brain after the gym is two different things. Before the gym, you sluggish. While you in the gym, you Einstein. By the end of the day, after you didn't hit the gym, your body get to moving like Pac-Man coming off the magic pellet. You back to slow motion. But the letter of the day, or the 5 rules to manhood, were brought to you today by the letter N. And N stands for nigga. An unwritten rule, because this is one that's not more so for manhood, but for black manhood. Stop letting people call you a nigga or refer to you as a nigga. Amongst your friends, in private, do as you want. But publicly, don't let people refer to you as a nigga. Don't refer to yourself as a nigga. And specifically, do not allow women to tag you with the word nigga in any form, in any phrase. Don't let people tag you as a nigga, because even psychologically, niggas and men are not the same people. Niggas don't deserve respect. Men deserve respect. Niggas are ignorant individuals. Men are figures of power and respect. If you want to be respected, stop allowing people to call you, refer to you as, or assimilate you with the idea of a nigga. Even though you use it as part of our culture, even though it's hip hop culture, rap music culture, folks can say, man, I appreciate the word. I love the word. I don't mean anything by it. They still treat you like a nigga. Comparison to make. Folks love pepperoni. Folks love bacon. Them same people hate pigs. And also brought to you by the number 23. Give you some facts. 23% is the not 23. Let's 23. Not 23%, but of every 100,000 men, 23 men are likely to commit suicide. That's 4 times higher than the rate for women. 80% of all suicides in the U.S. are men, even though men only make up a little bit less than or equal to 50%. So 80% of suicides are men. Between the ages of 10 to 14, want to say it's between 2.3 and 2.9 of every 100,000 boys commit suicide. Then, no, I apologize. It's either 2.9 or, no problem looking it up. It's either 2.9 or 12.9. Yep. 23 per 100,000 men commit suicide. Crazy. Oh yeah, I was right. Between the ages of 10 and 14, 2.5 for every 100,000 boys commit suicide. Then from 15 to 24, that number goes from 2.5 to 21.2 of 100,000. And 25 to 44, that number goes up to 30%. The highest being over 75, the number is 41%. But 75 and over being the highest suicide rate. The second isn't people in their 60s, isn't people in their 40s. The second highest is folk between the ages of 25 and 44. So young people, not adolescents, but young people. When you're at your healthiest as a man, that is the second most dangerous time of your life for committing suicide. And all of those numbers were per 2023. I'm pretty sure the numbers from 24 will be in soon. And then I have to assess 25. But all that to say, be the best version of yourself. And once you reach a level of contentment with your own self-awareness and self-development, all of the rest of the shit just rolls off your back like water on a bird. Become the best version of yourself, and then it becomes easier to figure out what fits in your life and what doesn't fit in your life. What makes you comfortable, what's making you uncomfortable, what you'll stand for, and what can move the fuck around. But it all starts with getting rid of any second guessing and any room for criticism. So it's going to be up to men to get rid of any sniff of toxic masculinity, for the greater majority to be upstanding men, to the point where if someone is still complaining, it's easy to figure out that they just ain't shit. Focus on you and inspire your friends, support your friends, and validate your friends that are doing the same. Easy. Yeah.